Okay, so now let's look at functions in Dart. Functions are basically a way to encapsulate your code and give them a name called the function name, right? So that you can call that function anywhere inside your code rather than having to repeat your all the lines inside the function definition or the code block, right? Over here we see an example of a function. The name of the function is Fibonacci, which is represented over here, and then there are these two parentheses in which you have a list of arguments. Over here it's just one single argument represented by a type integer and the name of the argument, which is n. Over here you can have more arguments separated by a comma in front of this. There's also a type mentioned over here which basically denotes the type of the the value that is returned by the function. So over here it tells us that Fibonacci returns an integer value. So if you were to call this function with a particular value of n, in response or in return you expect a value of type integer, and that's computed based on the logic given inside the function body. So the function body is enclosed inside these curly braces. Now for this particular function, the function body has a simple conditional which is an if condition. It has these two vertical pipes which denotes the or condition, the logical or, and it checks for two of these conditions. So it checks if n is equal to 0 or n is equal to 1. So this is the equality operator. So it is going to check if the double equal to checks if n is the same as or equal to 1 or not, whereas the single equal to is the assignment operator, right? So it checks for both these conditions. If any one of them is true, it will return the value of n directly. Otherwise it's going to return a value which is computed by calling the function again. So this is called recursion. When one function calls itself again on a modified value of its argument or on whatever value of its argument, it's basically a recursive function call. So it's going to call the same function on n minus 1 and also on n minus 2, add the two results together and return that. When the function is called n minus 1, the same logic will be repeated and it might further call the same function again and again. Now it basically over here you're defining the function. So this is the function definition. Over here you're calling the function. So you're calling the function with a value of n equal to 20, storing the result in a variable whose name is result and the type is not specified. So Dart will basically infer the type.